Not all enemies carry swords. Some are invisible to the naked eye, yet powerful enough to collapse empires and wipe out entire generations. They don't knock. They invade silently, through the air you breathe, the water you drink, the people you love. This is not just a list. It's a journey through history's darkest hours, through the 8 deadliest diseases mankind has ever faced. So sit tight, because some of these killers still walk among us. It's a name that chills the blood. Ebola makes you bleed from the inside. Organs shut down. Your body turns against itself. During outbreaks in Africa, families fled. Doctors collapsed. Villages vanished. It spreads fast, kills faster, and has no cure. Ebola doesn't just infect, it devours. Your organs fail. Your blood vessels rupture. You bleed from your eyes, your mouth, your skin. It's a nightmare virus, one that brought nations to their knees. When the 2014 outbreak hit West Africa, entire villages vanished. Doctors fell, and the fear, contagious even now. With treatments improving, there is no guaranteed cure, and the next outbreak could be worse. One glass of water, that's all it took. Cholera ravaged the 19th century city by city, street by street, it didn't need war. It just needed poverty, poor sanitation, and ignorance. Victims would die. Within hours of symptoms, entire neighborhoods emptied. Children buried alongside their parents. The terrifying part, cholera never left. In refugee camps, in broken countries, in forgotten places, it still strikes. You don't see it on the news, you don't hear about it in headlines, but it's there lurking in the shadows. A cough, a fever, blood in the sputum. TB has haunted humans for over 9,000 years, from ancient Egypt to Victorian London slums. During the Industrial Revolution, TB was called the romantic disease because it struck poets, artists, and dreamers. But there's nothing romantic about slow, painful suffocation. Today, it's still the world's second deadliest infectious disease after COVID, and it's growing stronger against antibiotics. It emerged quietly, misunderstood, and ignored. At first, it seemed distant, a disease affecting others, but soon it became clear no one was immune. As the virus spread, so did misinformation, fear, and stigma. Hospitals turned patients away. Families disowned loved ones. Governments dragged their feet. Yet through activism and scientific perseverance, treatments were developed, lifespans extended. Still, millions live today without access to these treatments, especially in poorer nations. And the fight is far from over. HIV remains a global challenge, a lesson in how fear and silence can be as deadly as the disease itself. The Great War had just ended. Soldiers were coming home, dreaming of peace. But something darker than war followed them, an influenza strain that tore through humanity like a scythe. What made the Spanish flu so terrifying was its unpredictability. Young, healthy people, those typically resilient, were the ones falling first. Hospitals were overrun. Coffins ran out. Families were buried together in shallow graves. Newspapers tried to cover it up to avoid panic, but the panic came anyway. Entire cities imposed curfews. Public gatherings were banned. Schools, churches, and theaters shut down. In the span of just 2 years, more lives were lost than in the entirety of World War I, and it was barely understood. Smallpox was the demon humanity fought for millennia. It scarred royalty and slaves alike. Entire continents crumbled before it. The disease didn't discriminate. It infected kings, pharaohs, indigenous tribes, and commoners alike. It wiped out nearly 90% of the native populations in the Americas before the first shot was ever fired by European conquerors. Those who survived were marked for life, disfigured, blinded, and emotionally shattered. When smallpox was finally eradicated in 1980, It marked one of science's greatest victories, but it took countless lives and untold suffering to get there. It began with a whisper rumors of a strange illness in distant lands. Then came the ships. One by one, they docked along Europe's ports, carrying not only spices or silks but death itself. Inside the ships were rats, on the rats, fleas, and inside those fleas, a microscopic monster, Yersinia pestis, the Black Death, had arrived. In mere weeks, the infection spread like wildfire. There were no words for the horror. People would go to sleep feeling fine and never wake up. Others would develop massive, blackened swellings, buboes on their necks and armpits, oozing pus and blood. Within days, they'd be dead. Priests refused to offer last rites. Doctors fled cities, some towns walled themselves off, hoping to escape the plague's grip. But there was no escape. 1/3, maybe even half of Europe's population perished in just 4 years. Entire villages vanished. Fields grew wild. Commerce collapsed. Art and religion took a dark, apocalyptic turn. People believed it was divine punishment. They blamed the stars, the air, and even each other. Jews were massacred in mass hysteria. The very fabric of society tore apart. It wasn't just the dead being buried. It was an entire worldview. The Black Death was more than a disease. It was a reckoning, a reset, and in its wake, Europe emerged forever changed. It left scars in the DNA of cities, cultures, and our collective memory. And to this day, its shadow lingers. Throughout history, empires rose and fell to the beat of disease. Not all wars are fought with guns. Some are fought inside our bodies. These 8 diseases were more than epidemics. They were revolutions. They reshaped economies, religions, and entire civilizations. Some are gone, some are waiting, some are already evolving. We can't change the past, but we can learn from it, because the next pandemic won't wait for us to catch up. Subscribe to N8 for more, because knowledge is power. And power is the only true vaccine.